How we doing? And welcome to Learning with Jay. What we're talking about today is a massive subject, and I'm going to try and make it simple. Men's mental health. And why is men's mental health important? Well, being someone that has actually suffered from mental health, and if you've read the book, I know I keep saying about the book, I'm not plugging it. You don't need to buy it. There's I think there's chapters that you can just get. But there's one relevant to mental health, and I've suffered from it. And it's a case of how do I keep myself motivated? And it is really, really hard, especially the area that I grew up in. I grew up in an area where men were kind of macho. That's just the way it was. You didn't show your kind of softer side. You didn't show your vulnerability. If you showed your vulnerability in my area, you became a victim. And what that does is that suppresses all of the emotions that you're going through. You might, well, not you, I definitely felt sad sometimes. I wanted to speak, but obviously you couldn't speak to your friends because they would view you as a softie, and that's just the way it was. I think nowadays there is more opportunity for men to speak, but I don't know where we would speak. I don't know all of the charities that are out there and how available they are across the land. But I do recommend men speaking with men and get used to this kind of showing your vulnerable side. And what I did, I would say 7 years ago, I actually showed my vulnerable side, and it was a real turning point for me in my life. I cried in front of another man, and I mean proper cried. Tears, snot, it was unbelievable. I mean, it was messy. And I was sitting in this guy's car. He had a brand new BMW, white interior. I wasn't smelling too good, and I was sobbing like you wouldn't believe. And nothing happened. He didn't take the mickey. He didn't laugh. He didn't run away from me. He actually just spoke to me and offered me support. And still to this day, he's still offering me support. And what that done for me, it was a real turning point where you showed your vulnerability, but it then allowed you to grow. It allowed you to have strength. And it's the weirdest concept. All this time I thought being a man, you show your strength, you be strong, and that's it. Then you be strong, and you are strong. To be a true man is to actually show that vulnerability, to show that side of where you're weak. You can't handle it. You cannot function in the next day. You need support. And that's what I did there by crying. And as I cried, the person offered me support, and it's like, wow. And that was 7 years ago. And if you followed my career, in the last 6 years, it's just gone like that. And I believe that it's all down to me showing my vulnerable side. So I think if this is going out to any men, I recommend you speaking to someone. The highest killer, I would say, of men over 40 is suicide, because I believe that they don't have someone to speak to. There isn't this culture where we can speak to each other. So men, I would recommend you finding a charity or someone that you can speak to, and also to sons, daughters, wives, sisters, aunties, all that, of these men that you know are probably just playing it tough. Give them the support that they need. And I mean, ask them really how they're doing. I know sometimes we are too busy, and you might just put it onto the man that he's got to be the breadwinner and so on and so forth. But sometimes he might just want a little hug. Sometimes he might just want his arms stroked. You know, sometimes, let me tell you this, sometimes men like to be caressed. I know. You might think it's only women, but men like it as well. But you would never know, because you think we're trying to be that tough guy. So I would say give that space for someone to actually speak. Give that space for someone to just open up and talk. And once you do that, I think the world will be a better place for people just allowing men to be vulnerable, because we do have that vulnerable side. The only advice I could give men, whether you're young or old, to staying healthy mentally, wow, it's a really hard thing to do, because you're going to have some twists and some turns in your life that you have to get. You have to get these knockbacks. You have to feel vulnerable. There's no way I think someone can go through their whole existence of life without having not necessarily a mental breakdown, but something that really kind of rocks your world and kind of destroy. It could be a breakup. It could be a breakup of a marriage. It could be a breakup of a business. It could be a death within the family, but it will most definitely rock you. The only thing I would say that I can give advice to younger men and men in general is just talk. When you don't talk, the problem is you hold that in. And it's a bit like, imagine having a kettle and you switch the kettle on, but it's got no way of releasing all of that hot air. Imagine that. What's going to happen to the kettle? It's just going to explode because there's no way of releasing it. And that's all talking does. It releases it. So if we can, men in general, please just talk. That's the biggest thing. Talk as much as you possibly can about your feelings. Talk about what you're going through and see if people will offer you support. If they don't, the best bet is to do is move on to someone else. Go somewhere else, go to another charity or go somewhere, a family member, and talk to them. But you need to talk, and you will find the right person that will then take you in their arms and say, I'm here to support you.